All right, let's see if we can turn this pile of parts back into something productive. Pretty much ready to roll. One thing I forgot to do this morning that I'm gonna have to go do real quick is I was gonna go in and map out my bearings and figure out, because I forgot where the hell the 3 heavy ones went. So I gotta go do that, but we'll start putting stuff together. I'm gonna get the elevator head put on and the short elevator. And then we'll start at the top with the cross auger and just work our way down the system and finish up at the bottom. So we've had a little bit of rain this morning. According to the radar, there's a little shower that should be showing up here in another 30-45 minutes. Hopefully it does, but we've had enough rain. Yeah, there might have been enough there to start to try to germinate some of that hay, but it's not overly damp. So we shall see. But anyhow, pitter patter. All right, our elevators are back together. I put the boots on before I tightened up all the bolts to actually hold it on. That way it was aligned with the trough. If I need to take them back off, put the augers in, I can, but I wanted everything in line with each other, so it was easier. That was the easiest way I could think to do it. So with that, I'm going to go in real quick and figure out what bearings go where. I'm pretty sure there was a heavy one on that side. There was a heavy one here. And I can't remember. I'm going to go look real quick and we'll be back. Okay, so I went and mapped out my bearings. Obviously, this is If you can follow along, this is the cross auger for the bin, and then this is the main elevator, jump auger, jump conveyor, and then the auger down under the sieves. So got a heavy bearing here, 3 regular bearings there, a heavy bearing at the bottom, 3 regular bearings there, a heavy bearing here, and then a regular bearing there. So easy enough. So we're going to start here with the cross auger for the grain bin and just work our way down. I already got the shaft cleaned up. Everything's going to go together with anti-seize. That way if we ever got to do this again, there's hope, in theory, no cutting or anything like that. Everything, in theory, should just come apart. So, what do you think, Teeter? You gonna lift that up there for me? Alright, the top's all back together. It's a little bit of a job getting all these sprockets to line up. Basically what I ended up having to do, which you'll see down at the bottom, but the stub shaft for the top of the elevator, I put that in first and got it tightened down where it belonged, because I used the elevator chain sprocket to center the shaft, and then luckily that is actually centered on the shaft, so that put the drive sprocket where it belonged. And then I used that drive sprocket to line up this drive sprocket, so I had to shift the auger a little bit, and then everything lined up, and I was able to tighten down the cross auger, and everything's good. And I got the pulley on the far side, but apparently when this thing was together the first time, those sprockets must have been staggered to each other a little bit, because when I took it apart, that bearing was slid all the way up against the weld on the shaft, and now it's about 1/8 of an inch or so off of it. So lined up is lined up, right? Okay, we're ready to start working on the bottom here. This is going to be interesting because we got that sprocket's got to be in the center of here, that sprocket's got to be in the center of there, and then both drive sprockets on the back side of the small elevator have to be in line, in theory. All these sprockets are pinned to the shaft, so they kind of are what they are. We're going to have to do the best we can with what we got. I'm going to guess you'd like to think they're going to end up close, but what you guess and what's reality are usually two different things. Hopefully it'll stay sitting there. Will you stay sitting there? I think it'll stay sitting there. Well, that's interesting. What the hell do you mean the auger can't go in from that away? Oh, it will if you do it right. There's a little... That thing right there sticks down far enough to hit the auger, but apparently you can screw it in. Okay, so I got the lower auger and the upper shaft installed here. So now, like I was saying earlier, I'm gonna start by lining up this sprocket into the center of the elevator, and hopefully that will put the drive sprocket in line out here. I'm actually looking at it before I do anything here. I'm gonna slide the drive sprocket on there, because once this is over there might not be enough room with that gusset in the way to get the sprocket on, so we'll set it on or put it on there and let it float. So let me do that real quick. All right, see if I can get you somewhere. You ought to be able to see there, as long as you're not in the way. Where's that tape measure? Obviously we're gonna have to go that way just a skish. Let's go that way a fair bit more. The upper auger, I was at about 3 7/16 the center. And 3/8. Close enough. So now we can lock this guy down. Where did I put? There it is. One on the back side is going to be kind of fun. In hindsight, I probably should have set this shaft before we put the elevator back in, but ah well. That one ain't going nowhere. Okay, so I got this sprocket centered in this elevator, which Did put that sprocket in line with that one. They look off visually, but you lay a ruler on there and they're in line, so I'm going to trust the ruler. So we can go ahead and lock this guy down. And this one got a heavy bearing here and a regular bearing there, and then 2 regular ones. And then there'll be another heavy bearing there. So and on these, well, actually on any spherical self-aligning bearing, you never lock the collars down until you got the flanges tight. That way the bearing can float and do what it needs to do. And then once you got your flanges tight, then you can lock the collar down. So obviously I did that. I've had them locked down already, but just your tidbit of information for the day. Okay, last one we got to put in is this guy here, so we'll set you up in here. Ow, that hurt. Jabbed something into my back. Now that I covered up my light source, you probably can't see a damn thing. Maybe if we put you this away. Bear with me here. Now hopefully we don't find out that when I get both bearings in this thing and get it elevated, I puckered that pan welding on it and I got a high spot that's gonna rub. That'd be neat. There should be enough clearance though. In famous last words. Nope, stay in there, you bastard. I have to recruit Dad for this part. Okay. Alright, lower auger's in. I had to open my big mouth, got it in there, it rubbed. So with some very meticulous moving and loosening of bolts and shovel or juggling stuff around and sliding and prying, and I had to go in there and clean off a little bit of weld. Finally got it where it wasn't rubbing, although after I got it in there and was looking around, the way there's wear indications on the auger that it has been rubbing for a while in the same spot that it was in, so chances are it had been rubbing before I did anything, because the auger flighting is wore round till it gets to a point, and then the edge of the flighting is wore off square, which means it was rubbing something, because auger flighting will usually wear round to a point, so if it's wearing flat, you got interference somewhere. But anyway, we can start putting elevator chains in now. This is actually, I managed to find a new old stock fully assembled lower elevator chain for it. That's this guy here. He even came with new Master Lincoln cotter pins. That came out of Parts Depot. Tried finding the long one. It didn't show up in anybody's system, so there's probably one out there somewhere sitting in a dealer pigeonhole that nobody knows what the hell it fits, but it's just not in anybody's computer system. So it's just standard CH550 elevator chain. So that's not the problem. The problem is finding the right paddles. So I'm either gonna have to come up with enough paddles that I can buy a new chain and put the right paddles on it, and that would also rely on new elevator chain using this same butterfly for the paddles to bolt to, or get enough material to make my own paddles to fit new chain. But either way, we can worry about that at a later date. But we got one for the lower anyhow. And actually, when you compare this to the chain that was in it, the chain itself isn't actually that worn. It's just the paddles on it are shot. So anyhow, we can feed this guy in. I might end up having to get a rope, maybe. Yeah. Oh, I can get it. Got it. Feed it around here. Look at that. Almost like it's factory-made chain that's supposed to be in there, huh? Alright, fast forward a little bit here. I got the long chain put in, that chain's put in. I had to slide the shafts over in this elevator just a skitch because when the paddles came around they were rubbing on the bolt heads. But everything else was good. So far everything spins over. I got both drive chains on, so I guess we will set you somewhere. And I'm gonna go over and turn the main drive pulley, and hopefully everything rolls over like it's supposed to. Well, everything rolls over real easy, so apparently those two elevators aren't quite in line with each other, because that, unless it's an optical illusion, it looks like that perforated boot is like, but yeah, it is a little bit. That is if it's cut square. It's got to be cut square, because that's a. But I'm sure they weren't quite in line to begin with, so it's probably just more noticeable with that perforation. Of course, I guess if I busted the bolts loose, there is a little room to slide it up. Might try that real quick, see if I can get that thing in line better. That looks better. Bust the bolts loose, so I was able to pick it up some, and I broke the bearing flanges loose, let the bearings line themselves back up. Should be good to go. Should have had this done, but people kept stopping over and wanting to talk, and got to the point where it's like, I just want to get this damn thing done. But now we got company over for Labor Day, or Memorial, yeah, Labor Day. So I really probably need to get this thing cleaned up, or get my mess cleaned up and get things put away. So I guess I'll finish putting the sieves and everything back in tomorrow, and tomorrow after work, and change the oil in it and put the chopper back on. So, but the big part of the project's done. I'll change it back in. I gotta hook the belt up real quick. Throw that back on, and then I'll call it good for the day. So, anyhow, I guess, hell, I'll finish this video up tomorrow. There ain't gonna be much left, but I can show you what we got going on with the perforated doors and whatnot. So I guess we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Teeter, what have you got? Looks like a hunk. Oh, I bet that was a head off a piece of wheat. So anyhow, I was fully expecting to go into work today, because I'm taking Thursday, Friday off to go to a tractor show, and bossman said, nope, stay home. So it's Labor Day, obviously. I haven't had a Labor Day off since 2015. But I've been dinking with this thing. I got my sieves back in, made a couple parts to make it easier to take those in and out that I've been meaning to do for a while and just never did. Got the chopper back on and hooked up. Got the oil draining, because I'm trying to drop the oil in it. Well, obviously I already dropped the oil, and I'm going to change the oil in it. But I told you I was going to do these screens. So I guess we'll see how this goes. Lord knows. Well, last time these pins would have been out would be sometime around like 98, I think. I'll just set you on this guy. Maybe not. No, it'll work. There's a little nub in there to get a hold of, so hopefully. Not much of a nubbin to get a hold of. Oh, it's moving. And it broke off. Oh, I wonder. I don't know if we got a punch small enough to tap on that or not. It's just gonna have to be difficult, ain't it? I got enough room. I could drive it all the way out the other side if need be. We don't really have anything. Let me see what else I can come up with. Okay, I got an 8-penny nail that should fit. At least up to that point. I made that thing to do something very specific, and I don't remember what it was now. Normally, if you do this every or once a year, it ain't gonna be that hard, but being in there for 20-something odd years, it's a little crusty. And it turns with the door, so it's stuck in the door. Okay, I'm able to move it like this. This pin is going to be screwed by the time it comes out, but hopefully there's some TIG welding rod that I can replace it with. Didn't really have much choice. It had to come out of there somehow. Alright, I couldn't find another wire that was the right size. Anything we got is either too big or too small, so I'll reuse this one for now, and I got a dimension off of it so that I can try to come up with something, but it does slide back in okay. Well, I was going to do this. So I got something to get a hold of. All right, we're jumping forward here a little bit. So we'll go back and see what all I did to the combine here in a minute, but first things first, the reason I'm here is I was working on getting my sprocket set up for the beans on the, or cylinder speed for beans, and I need a 40-tooth sprocket to get the speed I want, and I didn't have one at the house, so I wanted to see if I had it on the 525. That does not look like a 40-tooth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. 35 tooth. So apparently I don't have a 40 tooth sprocket. I have every other sprocket from, I think, my smallest one is a 19 tooth, which would be the weak sprocket for that guy. All the way up to a 45 tooth, which was the largest sprocket you can get, which was the corn sprocket. So apparently I don't have a 40 tooth. I got every other one but a 40 tooth. I wonder how the heck that happened. Well, I guess I'll throw the 35 tooth sprocket on it for now. That's the one I ran last year. And I guess I'll have to do a little hunting and see if I can come up with a 40 tooth. Huh. You know, I wonder. Let's go look one more place. Alright, let's see what this old girl's got on her for a sprocket. If I can get back around that side of the combine. That looks like a 35 tooth. Ow. Damn Osage orange. Yep, that's another 35 tooth. Son of a Buick. Just can't win. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to leave the weak sprocket on it for now and just not screw with changing cylinder speed. Tomorrow when everybody's open again, I'll make some phone calls and see if I can come up with a 42 sprocket. Surely as many of them things as there were, there's got to be one laying around on a dealer shelf somewhere. But other than that, oil's changed, fuel filters are changed, clean grain system's all back together, chopper's back on, sibs are back in. I got the perforated screen, or the perforated doors and auger tubes in. Like I say, the whole point for going to these, obviously they had the solid doors on it for running wheat, which the last thing it ran before it got parked, before I bought it, was wheat. So it was all set up to run wheat when I bought it. But you can't run wheat with these in because obviously the grain will just go right through it. Since this combine's a corn and soybean special, it would have had these on it right out of the factory. And then if you wanted to run small grain, you had to put the solid ones on. If it was just a plain 7300 grain combine, it would have the solid ones in it. And then if you got an edible bean special, it had all the perforated doors and auger tubes in it. It had a perforated section in the floor of the feeder house that if you needed to run corner beans with it, there was a blank out plate you would bolt up there. And then I think there was another perforated screen that went, it might have even had a perforated section back here in the clean grain auger trough. And then I believe on the edible bean specials as well, they would have put a perforated section in the unload auger. And the whole reason on an edible bean special for all the perforations is most edible beans back in the day were dug in windrowed to make them dry down even, and they picked them with they got them with a pickup head, and you would end up with a bunch of dirt and stuff going through the combine. And that was the whole point for all the screens on an edible bean machine, was to get all the dirt sifted out before it got into the grain tank. the whole reason on a corn and soybean special is it gets all of the fines out and the splits and anything like that, because obviously you're not going to be getting any dirt. I mean, if you're really bad at cutting beans with a rigid head, you're going to be plowing dirt, but that's the whole reason for it on here, is to get all the fines and crap out and clean up your grain tank sample. So that's the reason that I decided to put those on, and I would have put them on last year, but to tell you the truth, I kind of forgot I had them. So anyhow, like I say, I guess I'm going to call her good for now. Everything else that needed to be done to it's done to it, and I got to call and order some parts for the corn head anyhow. So I'll see what I can come up with for a sprocket, and if I can't come up with anything relatively easily, then I'll just put my 35 tooth back on it and run it that way, because I know it works. You just got to be careful with it. So yeah, I guess we'll call the 7300 ready to rock. Next thing, I'm going to leave it over here, that way I can pick the corn head up off the header cart with it and be able to work on the corn head up in the air. So corn head's going to be the next project, which that doesn't really need a whole lot done to it. I got to put some gearbox seals in it, which isn't going to be any issue. I think I can just undo a few bolts, and the drive shaft, it's got 2 drive shafts that come in from either side that run 2 row units apiece, and I should just be able to undo the bolts that hold the bearing in on the end, and I believe that the shaft just slides out, and then I want to put the seals in the bearings that the drive shaft goes through. So I got to order those, and then put corn head grease in it, put the speed up sprockets on it, and the corn head should be good to go. And then I got probably a day or 2 worth of work on the 8700, and it'll be ready to go. And then change the oil in the grain trucks, and we'll basically, I gotta put new shovels on the Glencoe. I do got to get that done too. So really, that's all I got left to do before fall. So as far as getting stuff ready, this was by far the biggest project I had to get done, was that clean grain system on this, which went a lot easier and a lot faster than I thought it was going to. So we're sitting pretty good. Well, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.